First of all, CSAT needs to be loved, not feared. See, the thing is, ma'am, each and every candidate has his own strength as well as weakness. A student, when he or she starts the preparation, he must practice questions from all the topics, maths also, reasoning also, passages also. So the important thing is that in the test series, a student needs to ensure that he scores more than 100.
CSAT, where problems mean solution. Yes, today we are going to delve deep into the world of CSAT that checks your skills related to reasoning, comprehension, and quantitative aptitude with none other than one of our renowned faculty, Mr. Manjul Tiwari, who has been teaching for last 12 years. And he's a guiding light for our aspirants. We are delighted to have him here today to share his wisdom and insights. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you so much for your kind words, ma'am.
So to begin, I would like to know what is the relevance of CSAT and why is it included in prelims?
Ma'am, CSAT tests the analytical, logical and comprehending skills of a candidate, which is very important, especially in the age of technology and artificial intelligence. And throughout the world, in US, UK, Japan, other European countries, this is part of their entrance test, especially in the field of administration. You'll find that in Europe, they call it EPSO test. In UK, they call it Civil Services Online Tests. And wherever at the earlier stage, at the nascent stage, the candidates are being hired, they are being checked through online tests.
Sir, like you said that this paper is there in most of the competitive exams. So, like over the years, we have seen that the CSAT paper, it has evolved. So, please throw some light on it.
Ma'am, this paper was introduced in the year 2011, okay, and earlier it was merit-based, okay, but due to the demand of the students, later on it was converted into qualifying. That is, a student need to score only 33% marks in order to qualify this paper. And over a period of time, we have found that the level of the questions, the type of the questions, each and everything has evolved. For example, earlier in 2011, 12, 13, you will find that most of the questions are kind of, textbook questions, which you can find in aptitude books, which you can find in reasoning books. They were very common, okay. But recently, in the last 3-4 years, we find that there are many questions which are completely new, where students need to think out of the box, okay, to answer the questions. So these nowadays, CSAT is real test of aptitude. Because earlier the process was such that the students were practicing questions from some book and they were answering such questions without even understanding the logic behind it. Okay. But nowadays, if a student has to answer any question, then that student must understand the basic concept, then only can.
So sir, this exam basically checks your analytical and decision-making skills. So how a student can develop such skills?
Ma'am, it's not an overnight process. And the main problem with aspirants nowadays is that they consider this CSAT paper still as a kind of additional paper. And therefore, they are not giving enough time and energy for this paper, which is required. First of all, CSAT needs to be loved, not feared. There was a dialogue in movie, oh my God, okay, that these are God-fearing people, not God-loving people. Similarly, people now, the candidates nowadays, they fear. They have got this phobia of CSAT. And this phobia, this fear is really kind of, demotivating them. And they are unable to practice more number of questions. They are unable to go through the basic concepts, clear those concepts, which they haven't earlier. And ma'am, for the process, if you talk about the process, then first thing is a student needs to stick to the basics. And the basic involves the normal calculation speed, okay, understanding of the concepts like average, percent, ratio, proportion, in calculation, BODMAS rule, divisibility concept. So these all things are there.
And that can come only through practice and consistent practice.
Ma'am, that can come through practice But first, you need to understand that yes, BODMAS rule, what is the logic behind it whenever you are doing the calculation. Percent, what do we mean by percent? It means we are comparing each and every value with respect to 100. So it means 100 becomes the base there. So we are comparing everything with respect to 100. So what is the relevance of percent, for example? Percent helps in just, comparing the things. For example, a student A, he scored 470 marks out of 500. Another candidate, he scored 360 marks out of 400. Now the maximum marks in both the paper is different, 500 and 400. But now here, how can we compare? Then on the basis of percent we compare. So all the topics, especially in the maths, if we talk about, then yes, they are important. And here, the moment students understand the basic concept, then with time and with practice, more the number of questions students practice, then slowly they start understanding the finer nuances of the question. Ma'am, the problem which is very common with the students is that they are unable to understand the question. What UPSC is doing? UPSC is not only checking the comprehending skills of the candidates through the reading comprehension, that is the passages, but they are also checking it through maths and reasoning questions. See, solving is the second stage now. First stage is understanding the question. So students, most of the time, they are unable to understand the question. Because as I said, nowadays questions are fresh, questions are new. Okay, so for those new questions, for fresh questions, deeper understanding is important.
So sir, generally it has been seen that the non-science background students, they really find it difficult for solving the quantitative aptitude questions. So how do they prepare themselves for it?
Ma'am, first of all, the thing is, if I am from, suppose, physics background, then I will be more comfortable in physics. I am from law background, then I will be more comfortable in law. Similarly, the arts students, okay, they will be more comfortable in the arts subject in comparison to your maths and reasoning, in comparison to your science area. See, the reason behind it, the things which we practice, the things which we study a lot, okay, we get more comfortable in that. So, the problem lies in the common psychology of the students in the school days. Because in school, we find that many students have this kind of maths phobia. They develop this maths phobia. And many students, they feel that yes, they have to continue with maths only till class 10 and then it won't be required. But in UPSC, it is required. Nowadays, in other competitive exams, it is required. So maths has become integral part. This quantitative aptitude has become integral part of any competitive exam nowadays. So now those candidates also who have left maths earlier, now again they have to start it. But the time and energy, which I said earlier, this paper deserves, okay, this paper demands, they are not giving that. Still they are taking this CSAT paper as a kind of additional paper, qualifying in nature. Okay, so they think that, for example, August month is going on. Next year, we have the prelims in the end of May. Many candidates will start preparing for CSAT in the month of December or January. See, for GS, they have started now. Okay, but for CSAT, they will be starting next year. Because they feel that, yes, with 3 months of practice, with 2 months of practice, 4 months of, practice, they can easily qualify.
But that is not true. They have to prepare it right now itself.
See, the thing is, I'm not asking the candidates to devote a lot of time, daily 2 hours, 3 hours for this paper right from now itself. See, now in the month of August, September, October, November, December, in these months, the candidate can devote 3 to 5 hours a day. Now in 3 to 5 hours, what all things? See, the thing is that there are different stages. First is that basic understanding. For basic understanding, in the open sessions also, I have shared few pages of the NCERT maths book of class 6, 7th and 8th. On those pages, the topics, the common topics, their meaning, their relevance, each and everything is explained. So a candidate need to go through those topics. Then second is your calculation practice. Ma'am, you won't believe many students, okay, they understand the question,
But
okay,
not able to calculate
but
it.
in calculation they take a lot of time. Now the thing is, this is objective exam. Within the time period they have to solve it. If their calculation speed is too slow, how can they solve enough number of questions in the given time period? And calculation practice, ma'am, there's one thing, that aptitude is like driving, okay. If you think that 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, if you drive from morning till evening and then you can become an efficient driver, then it's not possible, because it is developed with time. It takes 3 months, 6 months. With regular driving, one becomes a skilled driver. Similarly, with aptitude also, consistency is the key here, that regular practice.
So at least daily they can give half an hour for
Yes,
mathematics,
half an hour.
solve 4 to 5 questions on daily basis. That is also going to help them a lot.
Definitely it will help them a lot. Few questions they should practice daily, or if not daily, then in a week, 2 to 3 days, okay. But calculation practice, okay, random calculations like 473 into 357, 2693 divided by 452, 1 by 23 plus 3 by 29. These type of calculation practice daily, 3 to 4 sums, okay. I'm not asking for more, 3 to 4 sums. Along with it, if a student remembers the tables, for example, tables from 1 to 20, if a student remembers the squares of the numbers, that the squares of the numbers from 1 to 30,
And they
cubes of
can
the
even
numbers.
note down the formulas and keep it aside so that they can always refer to it and solve the questions easily.
Ma'am, see, the formula, the questions nowadays, okay, earlier the questions, many questions in this exam only, in this CSAT, they were direct formula based questions, where a student, if he remembers the formula, he can read the question, he can just apply the formula, he can get the answer. But nowadays, the question, the type of question has changed, okay. You're talking about how question paper, how this paper has evolved. So yes, it has evolved. For example, this year there was a question, okay, of compound interest, okay. The question was that there are two different cases, okay. In first case, principal P is suppose P. In second case also, principal P is P. In first case, the amount earned after the completion of the time period is A. In second case also, it is A only. It means principal is same, amount earned is same, time period is same. Only difference was that in the first case, compound interest rate of percent, suppose it was R1, it was compounded yearly, and in second case, rate of interest, it was compounded half yearly. Now in this question, ma'am, if a student starts solving it, then he or she will take a lot of time, okay. And the question was that between R1 and R2, what is the relation? R1 is equal to R2, or R1 greater than R2, R1 less than R2, or you can't say anything about them. So if the student's understanding of compound interest is clear, that in case of compound interest, amount acts as the principal. Amount acts as the principal. In case of compounded yearly, after every year, amount acts as the principal for the next year. Similarly, when compounded half yearly, amount after 6 months will be acting as the principal for the next 6 months. Now, in both the cases, if amount is same, if the amount is same, principal is same, then definitely in the first case where compounded yearly, the rate of interest would be what? Rate of interest would be higher. So this a student can answer only with the understanding. So if understanding of the topic is clear, then you read the question, you mark the answer. See, the thing is, in many questions, okay, you will be saving time like this. There will be questions which will be consuming lot of time, 4 minutes, 5 minutes also they can consume. But yes, balance. So overall, on an average, your balance is.
So sir, it has been seen that mostly these students, they tend to overlook many topics. So should they be doing it, or they should be like completely going through all the topics and solve them?
Ma'am, I strictly ask the students few things, okay. First, out of 80 questions, there is a division: quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, and then verbal ability. Now, in verbal ability, there are 26 to 28 questions, okay. Rest 52 to 54 questions are from quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning. Now, in these 52 to 54 questions, there's no strict division like 26 questions from quantitative aptitude, 26 questions from reasoning, like this. Okay, every year it keeps on changing. Now, what students do, many students who are kind of comfortable in maths, those who are from engineering background, okay, they find that they are comfortable in maths. So they ask me also regularly that, sir, just by solving maths and reasoning questions we can qualify. Similarly, many students who have this kind of maths phobia, they
think the comprehension and reasoning will suffice.
Will be sufficient. But no. That is the wrong notion. Why it is wrong? Ma'am, see, the thing is, there are 3 divisions. Now, what UPSC does, see, I cannot kind of, predict for future, but till now, especially in the last 3-4 years, what they have been doing, that out of these 3 sections, if one of these sections is kind of difficult, then one will be comparatively easier. Like for example, this year, quantitative aptitude questions were difficult, but verbal ability questions, though passages were bit lengthy, but were easy to answer. Okay. And now here, those students who have relied only on maths and reasoning, this year maths questions became tougher. Now they failed. So a student, see, from beginning, first of all, no one can predict from which topic will be getting the questions. Okay. So a student, when he or she starts the preparation, he must practice questions from all the topics, maths also, reasoning also, passages also. Okay, with equal focus on all. Or I can say the focus can, or the efforts can shift according to one's preparation. Is it clear? So you have to give equal weightage to quant, logical reasoning as well as verbal ability. So that if by chance any of the section is tough, then the other section will be easier. One can answer the questions correctly. Then one more point here. Recently what UPSC has been doing, as I said, now they are checking the core concept. Okay, they are not giving those textbook questions which were kind of common. No direct questions. No, there are direct questions, but the number of questions, fresh questions, new questions, that number has increased. See, for example, out of 52 to 54 maths and reasoning questions, earlier the new questions, fresh questions, that number was 8 to 10. But nowadays that number has increased to 18-20. So students still forget that yes, they do have 32 to 34 questions which are kind of common. They must have practiced earlier. But the uncommon questions, the new questions, they waste their time there. So therefore they are unable to kind of solve those 32, 34 questions.
So proper time management is also very important.
Yes,
in solving the paper.
Time management is the key. Okay, and in time management, see, they have increased the number of questions. For example, from number system. Number system, we find that in last 2-3 years they have increased the number of questions.
I think 7 to 8 questions.
Yes, 7 to 8 questions.
There are from number system.
Similarly, P and C, permutation, combination, and probability. The number of questions have increased. Then there is a topic called data sufficiency. Now, data sufficiency checks this concept of data sufficiency as well as quantitative aptitude or reasoning together.
Right.
So therefore they have increased the questions from data sufficiency. So now what is happening? They are hitting, striking 2 or 3 targets with the same bullet. Okay, so in data sufficiency, they are checking the maths skills also, reasoning skills also, and the concept of data sufficiency as well.
So sir, is the syllabus of CSAT quite vast, or how is it?
No, and this syllabus is not vast. Okay, because when we cover the syllabus, see, in maths and reasoning, nowadays it takes around 100 hours. Okay, in covering the syllabus. Okay, and then for practice, okay, the end, when we do a lot of practice sessions, then the number of hours it increases. But for maths and reasoning, for covering the syllabus, if you talk about syllabus, then yes, around 100 hours, that is around 35 to 40 classes one can cover. Then in further around 12 to 15 classes, you can easily cover the reading comprehension part, okay, passages part. So overall 120, 130 hours. So in 120 to 130 hours, this entire CSAT course
can be finished.
Yeah, can be completed.
So, we are going to start with a fresh batch from 21st of August. So if you can please tell us about your teaching approach.
Ma'am, my teaching approach is quite simple here, that stick to the basics, okay. The thing is, I always encourage students right from the first class that you must keep on doing the calculation practice. You must focus on understanding the basic concept. Because whenever I explain any concept, for example, LCM, when in class, okay, if I ask the students, what do we mean by LCM? Then, 70 to 80% of the students, they shout at once, sir, least common multiple or lowest common multiple. Then I tell them that I'm not asking the full form, I'm asking the meaning of it. See, the thing is, there's a lot of difference between the full form of LCM and the meaning of LCM. So when we use the term least common multiple, okay, then what do we mean by it? Multiple means any number which is perfectly divisible. Common means it must be divisible by all. And least means the smallest number. So it means, what do we mean by LCM? The smallest number which is perfectly divisible by all the given numbers. So the thing is, once you understand this concept now, then you won't be confused between LCM and HCF, because there is another term, HCF, highest common factor. So the students, they often get confused. Therefore, instead of learning the full form, how to calculate the LCM, one must understand the meaning of it. So my focus is on understanding, okay, that you need to understand the basic concept of all these topics such as LCM, SCF, percent, average, ratio, proportion, the entire arithmetic, then time and work, time, speed and distance, simple interest, compound interest, difference between simple interest and compound interest. Okay. So each and every topic, P and C, probability.
And I think after every class, you give them the handouts also for practice. So whatever concepts are taught to them in the class, they get it cleared by solving the practice papers.
Ma'am, in each class, first I explain the basic concept, okay, then the basic simple easy questions, and then the advanced level questions as well as PYQs. In each and every class, a student gets the handout. The handout consists of around 15, 20, in many 25, 30 questions, okay, depending on the topic. Okay. Now these handouts, they consist of, as I said, basic questions, advanced questions as well as PYQs. So these handouts, see, maths is all about practice. Since childhood, you would have heard that practice. So through practice only, the more the number of questions you practice, so handouts, it consists. Then we have a kind of weekly test. So Monday to Friday, CSAT classes are there Monday to Friday, 2.5 hours duration of each class. Then after 5 classes, whatever topics are covered, then we take a weekly test. Okay, weekly test, a small weekly test, 15 questions. Okay, that is online. Okay. Then there is monthly test also system.
So whatever topics are covered in a month, based on that, there is a test in the end of the month.
Then next, once the course gets over, then there is a regular monthly test. See, during the entire course duration, weekly test plus monthly test. But once the course gets over, there is a monthly test, which is separate from our test series.
So it must be a full syllabus test.
Yes,
right?
full syllabus.
Full
test.
syllabus.
Once
test.
the syllabus gets completed, then after that the monthly tests, they are full syllabus tests.
And so we are going to start with our prelims test series from 3rd of September. So please tell us about it.
Ma'am, from 3rd of September, we are starting with the CSAT Prelims test series. Now, it will be, the initial tests will be your sectional tests, okay, where we will be checking the abilities of the
So how
candidates.
many tests do we have altogether?
Ma'am, we have 22 tests.
22. So out of these, sectional would be?
Sectional tests are 12 sectional tests.
Sectional,
And then 10 full length tests are there. Okay. So sectional test, quantitative aptitude, then logical reasoning, then verbal ability, then the combination of quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning. See man, in quantitative aptitude actually we have divided in two parts because number of topics from quantitative aptitude are more. Therefore we have divided it into two parts. Then in sectional test we sometimes club QA1 with logical reasoning, QA2 with your verbal ability and so on. Man, see one thing which is very important, one needs to understand that what is the real problem. See this year you must have kind of heard or seen that there's after the exam or during the exam only the scene was that there was a panic among the students. Okay, it was reflected in the kind of score also, the result also, each and everything. See the reason behind it is that on the exam day a candidate leaves from his home at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, okay, for the test center. Most of the candidates 9:30 to 11:30 GS paper 1. This year paper 1 was also difficult. It was little different. Okay, you are exhausted. Okay, after that 11:30 to 2:30 3 hours break. Now in this 3 hours break, you don't get kind of enough space to kind of rest yourself. Okay, hardly you get something to eat. Okay, so candidates they do lunch anywhere, and then 2:30 to 4:30. Now the second half. Date was 28th of May. Ma'am, temperature at its peak. So the moment you enter the examination hall, when you are sitting in the examination hall, then by that time you are at your 60 or 70%. You are not performing at your 100%. You are already at your 60 or 70%. And then what happens if the initial questions, the earlier questions, okay, you find it difficult. Then in half an hour, in the first half an hour, most of the students, they kind of attempted 4 or 5 questions. They could attempt 4, 5, 6 or 7 questions. And out of those, they could get hardly 2, 3 correct. And once after half an hour, see, you are already exhausted. Okay, you could get only 2, 3 questions correct. Then the most
pressure builds up.
The pressure built up, and then the result was that there were questions which were easier.
But they were not able to solve it.
But they were not able to solve them. They were unable to kind of reach them. Okay. So here, one thing which is very important, that whenever a candidate finds the paper, then one needs to go through the entire paper. This approach is very bad that the moment you get the question paper, you start with question first, second, third, fourth, like this. Okay, that approach is wrong. Because you need to identify the questions in which the candidate is kind of, familiar, okay, find it easier to solve. So those questions you need, because it will consume hardly 3-4 minutes or 5 minutes, but it is going to save at least 20 to 25 minutes. So this is one thing. And for test series, ma'am, what is the another problem? See, being qualifying in nature, a student needs to score 33% marks in order to qualify. So during the test series, what happens? The students, most of the students, when they sit for the test series, if they score 70, 75 or 80, okay, they get relaxed, they get complacent. That yes, now they can easily qualify. See, remember, if a candidate is scoring below 100, then it becomes very difficult. Why? Because when you are sitting for the test series now, then you are giving it in the cozy environment. In the classroom also AC, you are comfortable, or in your room also when you are sitting for the test, you are giving in your comfortable zone. And there if you are scoring 100, then believe me, as I said, you will be performing at your 60-70% level. Definitely there will be dent of 15 to 20 marks. Now, if the question paper, it becomes a little more difficult, then that dent it increases. So if you are scoring 80, 85 and you feel that yes, you can easily qualify, then once the moment this dent, it increases to 20 or 25, then you would be scoring 60, 65 and candidate won't be able to qualify. So the important thing is that in the test series, a student needs to ensure that he scores more than 100. then only one will be in a comfortable position. There will be will be more secured position.
So, sir, what advice you would like to give to students who are going to appear for the examination in 2024?
Ma'am, all these students will be appearing for 2024 or 2025. Okay. One thing, as I said earlier, they need to do the calculation practice daily, because speed matters a lot. In any objective exam, it's all about speed and accuracy. Okay, if the questions are tougher, it involves a lot of calculation, then speed plays very important role. Okay, and that calculation speed will increase with time only. It takes minimum 3-4 months for a substantial kind of growth. Okay, so calculation practice, stick to the basics, practice as many questions as you can. You know, ma'am, there's a famous saying in governance. Okay, there's a topic citizen charter. In a citizen charter, there is a concept, one size does not fit all. See, the thing is, ma'am, each and every candidate has his own strength as well as weakness. See, UPSC, this, you know, what is the beauty of this exam? It's a kind of level playing field. The arts students, they have the advantage in the answer writing. The engineering students, they have the advantage if they feel. The arts students, if they feel that they are the engineering candidates, graduates, they have the advantage here, then they also have the advantage somewhere else. The thing is, overall, this exam is a level playing field. Now, here, definitely, one must always yearn for the personal growth. Okay, you need not compare with others. That yes, this candidate or the earlier the topper, this topper, he practiced only in last 2-3 months, practiced few test series and could qualify the CSAT, then I also can.
It will not apply on everyone.
Not apply on everyone. You need to assess yourself. First thing is assessment. A candidate must give last year or last to last year any, for example, 2021 or 2022 or 2023 paper. Then assess oneself that how much he or she is scoring. If they are scoring above 100, yes, with practice definitely the score can increase. But if they are not scoring so, then they need proper guidance and training.
So my last question to you is like any study material or resources that you would refer for CSAT practice?
Ma'am, for our candidates, the quantitative ability, that QA book, as well as the logical reasoning book, as well as your reading comprehension, the entire study material has been kind of, framed. The questions have been selected in such a manner that they will definitely help the students in practicing diverse questions, which will help them in scoring more marks in the exam. Okay, so our study material is sufficient. So in this exam, for the classroom students, yes, handouts plus study material plus test series. Ma'am, remember, test series is the key here. Test series is very important, and if a student finds that yes, he or she has the problem in the basic concept, then the classroom course is also important. And for classroom course now, you need to take it on a regular basis. Live classes, if a student is taking online courses, then the target must be to attend the class live. Because ma'am, what is happening that if you watch it, the recording now, then that zeal, that entho in the candidate will be lesser. Therefore, the more you attend the classes live, in offline students also, they must try to attend the classes offline. Because initially the growth will be slow. Initially growth will be slow, but once you reach an optimum level, then the growth will be fast. And all the candidates who missed this year by 1 mark or 2 marks or 3 marks or 4 marks, okay, because I met many candidates who scored around 60 according to the answer keys. Okay, they are scoring around 60, and they were kind of, very disheartened. Remember, they should not be. The thing is, with their practice, they could score 60, 65. And it was not their day. I can only say it was not their day. So a candidate must not judge himself or herself based on that test, that they could score only 63 So, and they could not qualify, their entire year is wasted. Yes, you reached till 63 now. So one must be positive that if you could reach 63, definitely with little more practice, you can easily cross 66 and can qualify. So all those students who missed last year, okay, due to CSAT, my sincere advice is that don't be disheartened. Take this, your whatever score you got, in a positive manner and practice more. Be more serious. Give enough time from now only. Okay, regular practice, weekly practice, monthly practice, and the entire approach must be divided into two parts. Year 2023, what will be your approach? That in a week, 3 hours, 5 hours, depending on your stage, and then January onwards. January to May till your exam, the approach will be different. So in two parts, students need to divide. Okay, so this will be your building process till December, and then January onwards practice. Ma'am, in the end, just I want to add something, that any student or any aspirant who needs any kind of CSAT advice, I'll be more than happy to guide you in your journey. So all the aspirants, best wishes, good luck, and keep smiling.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights and valuable inputs. And students, I think we have discussed in detail about CSAT, its importance, how to prepare, what to focus on, what not to focus on. So keep practicing, and if you still have any doubts or if you want to know more about our course that is going to start from 21st of August, please visit our website, or you may also call us. Thank you so much and have a good day. Keep learning.